Hey everyone, we'll be starting in a moment. Please bear with me as I get it all set up for you. Alright. Okay on there. Connection seems good. Everything seems to be fine. I think we're good to go. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another stream of The Great Ace Attorney. Today, we are continuing where we had left off last time, which was after finding ourselves innocent of the murder of Kazuma in the steamship. We ended up finding that it was actually the 15-year-old girl who pushed him. It was like, he's going to tell everyone about me being escaping from the ballerina company. I've got to kill him. Push. Well, not kill him, just stop him. And then he killed her. Or no, she killed him. Yeah, they helped cover it up, and now they're going to go to prison because, yeah. After that, we then said we're going to be trying to be a lawyer instead of going back home. And we spent a month or two, I think it was just a month learning everything to know about being a lawyer. So now we are a super lawyer because it doesn't take a month to learn everything, especially for Japanese law, which what they've said is new at the time. So they wouldn't have that much information to go off of. So, yeah. But we are shortly arriving in England, and we're going to see where that goes. I think that's everything. We also met the detective, and we danced around and we started investigating and figuring things out with deductions, and it was fun. So we're going to see where we go today. I will say that it may seem, for people that haven't had it yet, that I'm starting a bit later than normal or something. For me, my time has gone back now. So I've gone back 1 hour. For me, right now, it's actually 6:20, 6:27. It's not 7. So I'm starting around about the time I would start anyway. So for everyone else, it may seem I'm starting later than usual. Just keep in mind until you hit daylight savings times ending or whatever. It'll probably be the same until that happens. So, yeah. We shall see what we can get up to today, though, and see if we can get through this other case. Probably going to take longer than I think, because the first 2 cases did take so long. So we shall find out. So without further ado, let us switch to the game and begin. I guess because this is back to normal, because we're not in the middle of the next episode yet. There, so that's fine. Restream. Yep, showing on there. We're good to go. Yes! Continue. Part 1, episode 3. Let's get ready for the cutscene again. The Adventure of the Runaway Room. London Avenue.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident,
I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude
The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
Kind of weird, too, because he's talking to him as though it's from the future. But we know that Wilson's dead, so I don't know how that would be possible.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives.
It's
This
the
country is
Industrial Revolution,
incredible.
you know.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay.
And then those
And
kids
welcome
actually stole from
To
them.
the centre of the world. Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Why does that look like the Eiffel Tower in the distance? That's weird. I didn't notice that before. Birds! Very low resolution birds. 18th of February, 9:21 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. It's so slow typing that stuff out. I can remember people's voices again. Ugh. What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. The place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. They've only been built in a few short decades since we've opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? Far cry from the wooden paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar, but I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office. No, I don't understand. In the Supreme Court of Great Britain. Lord Chief Justice. He had instructions to report here at this time. His circumstances were different. We were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. As envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for our study tour. Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer, which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it's the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way we'll be able to remain here in London. Hope I'm up to scratch. I don't know who this is yet, so I was just be like, good morning, sorry to keep you. Sorry for keeping you. Whoa, God. Oh! Okay, Oh. I trust you are not too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 7 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. I'm never happier than when we're standing around with nothing Much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Mael Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. And I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Naruhodo, don't be a mouse. Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. I wish I could do deeper voices, but then it'd sound like the judge. Yes, thank you. I want to look around. Armor. Look at these menacing metal giants facing each other across the room. I believe they're... Yes, they're suits of armor. Oh, right. I thought maybe they were like the lion dogs we have in Japan Garden Shrine Gates. No, not at all. In fact, in Europe, suits of armor like these are always possessed by evil spirits, you know. No, they're not. And they roam around in the middle of the night. Really? Is there nothing you don't know, Mr. Cesaro? This book tells me everything I need to know about everything. If they're ever unsure, just ask. Where did she get that incredible tone? The science fiction section? This must be the Lord Chief Justice's chair, or desk. I believe it's made of marble. Looks more like the over-the-top tombstone that's been toppled over to me. I think that's your fanciful imagination at work again, Mr. Naruhodo. It feels like everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home is made of bricks and stone here. I know. That's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Oops. Look at all these naughty books packed together in these shelves. They go from floor to ceiling. No, they don't. Ceiling's all the way up there. This goes up the floor to gear. And they're all books you couldn't hope to come by in Japan. It's like a dream. Yes, a very bad dream. They're not all about British law either. There are books about the judicial system of other Western nations. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. Holland? What about Russia? Why do you ask? I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice how do you say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? I think perhaps it's a thought best abandoned. Talk about the gears, or... I investigated it thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think we might be inside some sort of giant clock. But those gears are larger than anything you'd find on a steam locomotive even. It's eerie. Do you think clocks are some sort of hobby of his, the Lord Chief Justice, I mean? Well, boys do enjoy fiddling around with machines, don't they? I'm not sure you could fiddle with cogs that size, and I'm certain you couldn't call him a boy. Still, it's amazing how little noise the cogs make, considering how large they are. There's actually something quite soothing about their precise rhythm. Ah, there's a left and right. Just look at all the naughty books, blah blah blah. Next thing again. Oh. It only moves slightly to the left. It isn't even showing anything new. Alright, let us converse. So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Oh, help! I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh. We had a wonderful view of some of London streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say, I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearheaded every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Oh, yes, astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me there, Cesaro. Everyone's so jolly and full of vigor. Are you sure you're in London? Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming Great Exhibition we'll be hosting here in London. Great Exhibition? Cultural technology achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can only imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great Britain's capital is nothing but magnificent. London is the centre of the modern world. At the time, yeah. Even if you do say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire. But perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. A Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if my memory serves. That's right. And the British government has already been telegraphed a full report of the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before he even arrived. My country naturally extends its condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you on a disappointment specifically to inform me of the news? Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me you Japanese you Japanese are a people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that is true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you the death of your young lawyer means that this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you just hear us out, Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, this is it then. Moment of truth. But the thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me, Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean? Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. And that was Mr. Asogi. At least that is what I'm meant to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. He literally is just asking simple questions. I just can't seem to find the right words to say this to this man. Mr. Naruhodo, could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? If there is someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... Actually, there's no one. It's Miss Suzato. It's me! Is there... I want to be sure there's no achievement for this. I don't think there is. I think it would be kind of obvious if there was. I'll just make sure, see if there is anything in here. Hey, Refertron. What did I miss? Them getting to England and then meeting this guy. We're currently trying to persuade him about someone else possibly taking over the Kazuma stuff. Don't see anything just yet. I don't think there's anything special. I'll just go with it. It's me! Suzato is the lawyer. I'm actually going to say it. It can probably only be... Yes, Miss Susano. An unusual introduction. But I presume you mean this charming lady beside you. You're a lawyer, are you? The look she's giving me. After all the days of hard work she put in to help me study, I can't let her down now. I think that's quite enough joking, don't you, Lord Strongheart? My real answer is, it's me. I could do it. I mean, yeah, to be true, she is more qualified. She's spent years learning or whatever. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say, but you still claim to be a lawyer? I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. I had Kazuma to help me, and I was the accused. But glossing over the details... I've been spending every spare moment of the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about the British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Burya. In 1 month, you learned the entirety of British law. Are you... What? I was under the impression that you'd just be like, I know how to be a lawyer, not I know everything about British law. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe, not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on his study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. The fun thing about voicing Ryunosuke is any slip-ups are completely in character. I guess we're both the same person. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking for. Please. 31 seconds. Sorry? The opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. Perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? But let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. But you firmly set on that path. Well, yes, that's my intention. You fool! You signed up to a war! I didn't know I was going to sign up for a war! I see. Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden? Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? So, what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, defending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. Huh? Your timing is perfect. In fact, there's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be welcome news. Today? Straight away? If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler? How do I get myself into these situations? I mean, you literally said you'd do anything, so he's giving you the chance. Well, can I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart? It's a murder trial. Yes, good question. I remember. It's a murder trial. I knew it. Murder? An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose. That's easy to say. But I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death? Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Isn't that, like, everywhere at this point? I'm pretty sure everywhere in the world has got the execution. Oh. Presumably you read that much in your short, sea-based introduction to British law. We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life. I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose. Even if the guy is actually guilty. So the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court? If I lose, he'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you have come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. But you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He's testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What is it to be? What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? I mean, you kind of have to. Alright then. If I have to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't get the words out. 15 seconds. The decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So, it is as I suspected, is it? Sorry? You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your tickets for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry, Mr. Sato, but what could I do? It's alright, I understand. You do? It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it. What are you trying to say, madam? I think what Mr. Sato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, was there something else? Takes approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that... I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He's going to go pro se, where he defends himself. You will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. But that's awful. But that is the truth. Why does it have to be like this? Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you. And really, his only hope? So, what do you say now, man? And he said, madman, madam. Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve. Oh. Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into the great city and enjoy yourselves. And then he vanished. He's gone. The Old Bailey. If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Yeah, but before that, look at my badge. Oh wait, this is not a badge, this is an armband? An armband I inherited from Kazuma identifies the wearer as the defense lawyer throughout the Empire of Japan. Mr. Susanoo, can I just ask you something? Careful, from this position, I can perform a Susanoo takedown in an instant. I know. Mr. Naruhodo, you heard Lord Strongheart. The trial starts imminently. If you need to throw you, I will. You know, you could just say, I think we should hurry to the courtroom. If you need to ask me anything, it had better wait until we're at the Old Bailey. Okay, fine. To the Bailey. London's highest criminal court with an illustrious past. The Old Bailey. This is where I'm to take my test and prove my worthiness as a lawyer. Inspect the band. These are the scales of justice. They're a symbol of defense, aren't they? Yes, that's right. The scales are a symbol of fairness to show that all are treated equally in the eyes of the law. And they're a warning to those who enter the courtroom without an impartial mind. But if they're the mark of the defense, we'd be more auspicious if they were wearing more heavily on the not guilty side, I think. Very impartial, I'm sure. This is actually really well modeled. The lawyer's name is embroidered on the inside here. Look, Kazuma Asoki. This was his band, of course. He had his heart set on the study tour in Great Britain. I'm sure he would have found the truth he longed for here. But he lost his life before he even had the chance to see the place. I have such a strong sense of his hopes and dreams when I looked at his armband, though. Hopes and dreams! Wait a minute, there's a bit of red here when he was killed. Alright, move. Old Bailey, a go! Hey, it's the Bobbies! 18th of February, 9:45 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, thank goodness, we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines from Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege. Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here. But there's no sign of him at all. So, this is the Old Bailey. Even the room for defendants to guard is grand. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever's about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Yes, whoever the man you're going to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. Is he... I'll have to do like a Scottish or Irish thing for this. Top of the morning to you, madam, sir. Oh, God, you look weird. What are yous doing following me here? Things are fair desperate, are they? Sorry? Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the east, are yous? We're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan is it? Right, to say no more. So, how much yous need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been here myself. So I have. No place to go, nothing to eat. Barely a penny to your name. And all while in a strange faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet. No. Why is he so fancy? 'Tis grand, 'tis grand. He's got shiny... He's a rich guy. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. 1,000 guineas? Please, Mr. Sato, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? 'Tis nothing to me. 'Tis not to me. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. That hit me in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it ya no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, 'tis a little embarrassing. The trial that's about to begin, you see, is for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you gotta do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you'll see. The trial is gonna start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. Lord Chief Justice wasn't making it all up. I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Blustering blazes, do you not know who I am? Me, one of London's biggest names? No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park there in the centre of London is another beautiful park. Sorry, park? What? It's called McGilded Park. Full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did. An entire park in central London? A city of smiles, that's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGilded won't do for the city and its square old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But... No, they've got to say I've gone good-for-nothing criminal. Me, the Irish is affecting me. Magnus McGilded? What is the matter with London police, I ask you? All right, don't pass out. Mr. Naruhodo. Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman cantles, what? Catches his breath. Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on our tour from Japan, you see. No. So if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands. What was I after saying, you daft idiot? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. I think I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This chancer of a fella claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyers in all of England? Because he did. That's the only explanation. Well? Well... What? That made no sense. What am I... No! I'll just say no. Not at all, although it's a little strange to be honest. Well, you don't have to be a lawyer, I mean. That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry, did he just say Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Barak von Zeeks. He's the prosecutor. He sounds... Is that German? The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper. When Van Zeek stands up for the prosecution, they call the accusers sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? He's basically just Von Karma, but for the past. So it's reached the desperate situation where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. We could say he's living a legend out of the Bailey. Goodness Lord, Barak von Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. They said professor. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth? The defendant is summoned and his counsel. Please make your way to the courtroom. The trial is about to begin. He said the show is about to begin. His counsel. Be me. Oh, it is time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here. I'd made up my mind, so I had. Sorry? I decided I'd have to defend myself in here. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance as student of law, wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, that I can assure you of that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. Oh, please. I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Mr. Naruhodo, the man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Kazuma would never allow to have happened. Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose your right to stand. I'll be right there. Time to punch the judge in the face and win this trial. It's happening then. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. Oh, they're actually on fire. Okay. It's a fire hazard. 18th of February, 10 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Not one or two, this is just the only courtroom, I guess. Ooh. Who is it? What? This is different. This is the highest court in Great Britain. The Old Bailey. Centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different from the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere here almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes? What? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it. He's a vampire! Oh, God! His beard is fluffy. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsel, the prosecution, and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Okay, I won't make him German. I'll make him Pennsylvanian because he's a vampire. The prosecution is fully prepared. Ah, I'm gonna suck your blood. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. You speak English? Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked the defense is ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. He's a straight-up vampire. Those eyes please me, Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. A cold shiver just ran down my spine, all the way down to the tips of my toes. Now, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord. You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner? As I've already said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to have to give opportunities to the young. Even if a fella is a student from some little island off the Far East. It's not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance. I'd like to think the acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to Mr. McGilded. What a fine gentleman, wasn't he? Did you hear that he donated £5,000 to the government the other day? Mother, maybe go play in Mr. McGilded Park? Seems though everyone in the public gallery firmly behind Mr. McGilded. It's definitely welcome news. He certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed? I don't know if these guys matter, because if they're going to be different every single time, I might not just give them too many different voices, but I'll still try something. Yes, my lord, if the task is sent to rotters to the gallows, they're where they belong. I'm more than ready. At the manner his lordship always said we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Huh, any criminal here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. He's got a horseshoe for a buckle and a horseshoe for a mustache. I feel a chill. Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'm just getting on with my knitting. Finish these knits for my grandson. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, those people are the jury. Yes, that's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right. I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. And then later in the future, we completely disband them because we think they're not actually good at their job. And then they get brought back for one instance of a video game that ends in the last mission. And then we never bring them up again. You know? The judge passes sentences according to the law, but the jurors determine the guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from two completely different points of view. But how exactly do jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure that will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes. Prosecutor Van Zieks. My lord. It has been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounce your fame. I am known as the Reaper of the Bay, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity. So what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstances of which the court should be aware? I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose the day of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo. As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please. Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. You must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. This incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as Thrice-Fired Mason. Sorry? Thrice? He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. Oh, just stabbed right in the gut. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service in the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to have been the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigation medical officer of Scotland Yard. Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and photograph as evidence. And the photograph. Well, a report has been added. Cause of death from internal hemorrhaging as a result of a single stab wound. Photograph. Clearly visible, but his face is partially obscured from view by an old crooked hat. And one further item of evidence. The prosecution was to submit these as well. And these are... Good lord! Is that blood, counsel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilda's gloves have blood on them. Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. Right, the time. There's a bloodstain on the right glove. How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside the vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you? Well, of course I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded? To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in carriage, I've taken with a fierce tiredness and I always succumb to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep? 'Tisn't the mention of the carriage, my lord. Hilton, so it is. And when I opened my eyes again, it was a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I never laid eyes on before in my life. And now I ask you, is what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella's bleeding heart from his stomach? Bleeding heart? Where did I get bleeding heart from? Bleeding from his stomach? I was about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got into the gloves then, after the man had been killed? Unfortunately, that statement of the driver is the only beginning. What? There's not all of it? There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Order! Why are you saying like that? Order! Order! When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage. And there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime has been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all. Your wish is my command. So dramatic. Bailiff, bring the witness in at once. He's so cold. His hat is bent. Witnesses, your names and occupations. My name is... well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End. Why am I so cold? Someone turn up the heating. Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city. My name's First. Lady First. I'm a... make hats for gents. Ladies first. Okay. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in the omnibus and witnesses to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Quite right. Yes, sir, that's right. Sir. I already forgot how I did the voices. Very well, then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw. Witness testimony is fancy. What in the witnesses saw? It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped the bus and I saw it too. Unambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Yes, counsel. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As had been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could these two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. How quaint. I've read that civilization in the Far East and island nations were a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Aren't you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend. Have you ever traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for all of us to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much. Yes? The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff. Bring forth the stricken omnibus. Strand Street. Baker Street. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. This is very small, but I think it might just be because everything is so big. I can't believe they bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. Yes, buses were once called originally omnibuses, and then they just got rid of the omni and just put bust. 4 passengers seated inside the closed cabin and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. It's a double-decker! Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and the sights are to be had from the top of the omnibus. I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the room, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. A skylight? Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats of this omnibus when the murder took place. This is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. That makes perfect sense. Well, counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. This is the prosecution's wish. Very well. I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence. Omnibus has been entered into the court record. Woo! And now I just have that in my pocket. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene delivered as evidence. And now I get to look at it. Well, let's open the door and get inside, shall we? I don't want to get inside. I just wanted to look at the things on the door. Ugh, the scene of murder. It's horrible. There's blood. That's the blood that's soaked into the seat. The victim's, obviously. Yes, and that seat would clearly be visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab someone in full view of other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't look like it was planned attack. That poster from the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole expedition. Ooh, Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view of the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description. So I suppose it can't be opened from the outside of the cabin at least. That poster from the great exhibition that's due to start in 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, blah, blah, blah. This seat has a handle, it seems. Ooh. Where the luggage gets put. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools repairs to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for any purpose anyway. Why is it still showing? a little weird to try and get us around. There we go. You've seen enough. Let's step back outside then. Into the green void again. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. The people sit all the way up here on a bitter winter's night with the cold air rushing past them. And they have to pay money to do so? Ugh. I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around in the city on the feeling cold as a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see it quite clearly. That's not good for us. And there's the ladder. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. Why is it called the Phoenix Wright Omnibus? You're not Phoenix Wright, that's a lie! I guess that's everything we can look at for now. I meant to look at the gloves as well. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. Begilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Ah, pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Is there something inside the gloves? The void. Alright. The entire creed scene entered as evidence. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's there. Let us continue with the proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel. Huh. Pray don't expect this nippity stray to understand the intricacies of British court cross-examination rights. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus! Whee! What the witness saw.
Hold it!
Yeah, she says hold it now instead of yes. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes. Ever so cold it was, for freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time. Is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not a travelling in the same parts of the bus, of course, no. And there are no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. None. So nobody fled the scene of the crime, then? I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does, every evening. The last bus of the day. But I don't wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, with everyone being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pieces on the run, or 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much on pub anyway. Just home, just trying to warm up again.
Hold it!
Hold it! Oh, you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage? That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right here, there at your feet. And there was a lamp on the inside, so I had a plenty good view. Or pretty good. The two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. But there's no shred of doubt in my mind that it was McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? The Gilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I could have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the closed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There was no room for doubt here. I really wish there was.
Hold it!
You actually saw the moment it happened? I didn't. I already testified to that. Whoops. Or are you a fed, dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? You're not. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Bankers should not be trusted. Mostly American ones, but yeah. This is no good. I've really got this back up. Perhaps you could just... My lord, I didn't get a chance to read that. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if that's... My lord. Juror number 3, what's the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich, never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no point in wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. Well, for one thing, that was cool. Number 2, you're biased, which means that you shouldn't be on a court jury. Like, you're supposed to be very unbiased, and you literally just said, oh, because he's rich, I'm just going to vote bad. Like, guilty. That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it is my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. What the... What is happening here? Let me see. Ah, yes, it seems that how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocence and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. They're also supposed to wait until everything has been presented. They can't just go, oh, this guy looks guilty. Guilty! That's not how it works! They have to listen to everything presented, all of the evidence, closing remarks, and then they have to go back and then consider the points and converse with one another. They don't just do, oh, I think he's guilty, I think he's guilty, I don't. It has to be a unanimous decision. So if those enormous scales fall complete to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Now I'm even more worried about it than I was before. Very well. The court acknowledges the change in this jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. This is a nightmare. But do I have to question him again in order to get what he was going to ask, or would it just play that cutscene again?
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say? But you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that stabbed him. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out of his belly, that huge great knife. A grim sight indeed. That didn't help me at all. She's talking while she's cleaning the desk. The jury looks even more convinced my client did it than they were before. It appears to have been made everyone more dubious that Mr. McGill is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. First. Yes, sir? Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief. Yes, that's it. That's the very one, sir. Is that... Yes, Counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. That is a blade of considerable size, Counsel. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. Please, no. M, for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there's an M everywhere. Like, yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this is a weapon of murder, almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel. The largest knife that was found lodged in the victim's abdomen, its quality and fancy ornamentation suggests it might be quite valuable. My lord, if you forgive the interruption. Juror number 2, go on. Mr. McGill is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to dispose of the rubbish? No! I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I have painstakingly typed every... she hasn't spoken yet, so this is my first time trying to voice her. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion. This is going great. Not again. That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press this witness for more information, it just makes the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. Mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that'll give us a way to fight back. But... alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Oh, whoops, I meant to... Alright, so when it happened, the only 2 people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And, so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man trying to defend to the deed. Or do the deed. I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here. Ugh. What am I supposed to do to think here? Is Mr. McGilded really innocent? Or could it be... Before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment. Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witnesses' statements again. A little more carefully this time. Maybe go to the last one, because I didn't mean to skip it. I wish I could just go straight to the last one. Right, I need to not present, but just look at my stuff. I got this now. That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Hmm? Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades. Oh. Those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. But that's not a blade, that's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Bloodied. Ugh, that looks like a lot of blood. Surely is blood, the victim's. An English man's blood looks a lot like Japanese man's blood. What, did you expect it to be green? Did you think it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just, we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. There it is. That could be a W. Ornate letter M, undeniably Magnus McGilded's initials. And it is beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I think. But what is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. It could change everything. W? Yes, this is one of those, you know, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know at all, but what I'm sure of is that it's an M. Oh, well, that idea was squashed. It's Willy Wonka stabbed the victim. It was Waluigi.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. And by the passenger, obviously, you were referring to the victim, Mr. Bates, the brickmaker. And the other passenger had that knife in his hand, like this. That's wrong. By the other passenger, obviously, you were referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded. And then they plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5, do I take it that you too? As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind a little Gee up now, Silverblaze, the finish is in sight. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. Again, it's like a cross of interests. The guy knows this person. You wouldn't be on the jury because of that. You'd be on his side. You would listen to whatever he said. So much for being impartial. This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6. Yes, dear. What can I do for you? You have heard the testimony of the witnesses in the stand. Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know. Then pray tell why I can get to pronounce your learned name. Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. The Gilded Park is called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, with a smile on Londoner's face, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have been in to take another man's life. He's always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that couldn't stab someone in the back, surely. I thought we would go to the Gilded Park Public Library later and borrow some books. I was in puberty. How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man is he? The philanthropist, Mr. Magnus McGilded, has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest souls. What? Stole the crows. McGilded lend money at extortionate rates of interest to so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak. I've never heard of any mention of that before. Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to use a public omnibus service? Oh, you're not saying that the victim, poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGilded. But let it be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment of his debts. Good gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. Future reference, please replace Shylock with Loan Shark just to be safe. Safe of what? Shylock? I don't even know what Shylock is. No one's used that word. It's also a fictional character. It is a fictional character in William Shakespeare's play The Merchant of Venice. A Jewish moneylender. Shylock is the person who plays principal villain. Blah, blah. Oh, stupid pop-up, go away. A heartless or demanding creditor. Yeah, literally looking at like the definition for it, it's nothing about that. It's just someone that extorts money. I highly doubt that the video game would use a racist term or derogatory term in a video game that they've never done before. Even it's set in the past, so it should be fine. What was I? Oh yeah, the brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist to pretend that. There's too many P's. Merciless philanthropist pretender Magnus McGilded. There we go. I don't believe it.
Hold it!
If I might add something briefly, Mr. Sado. You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim? Where'd you get that drink from? Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law. Aha, there it is, the Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice. How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I have heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. As judicial assistance to defense, I'm simply doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Oh. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgiveness to forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice and a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Debtor's ledger has been added to the court record. Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum, and the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense. Gonna examine. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you, you will not find Mr. Sholmes' name inside. Well, let's see what we find. The first one is Sholmes' name. It's a bunch of squiggles that make no sense. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Goodness! What is it? Look at this! Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying this very moment. Oh, yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name here? He borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Yeah! Woo! Reading helps! Okay, I don't know why it's not updating this. Because usually when you found the thing, it stops showing it as just a normal thing. It has a tick next to it. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused. And it's sure a pretty little part, too. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it's all for the best. But wait a minute. Let's think about this a little more before... I don't stand for nonsense. Game over. That was it. The last juror's decision. According to the Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict. It's over then. Oh. There's a footnote, though. A footnote. However, the defense... All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case. You should have said it sooner, Cesaro! Allow me to convey my respects for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. Mr. Cesaro, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense... What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. A summation examination?
Objection!
A summation examination? From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, it would have said that the book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text of British law wouldn't give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of your luck. Oh. What even is it, Mr. Zato? The so-called summation examination. One moment. I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. Huh. Typical Nipponese. Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we would have to be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions, as it says there. If successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decision. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use. I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that, although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Summation of examination. Last possible option. We assert a right to carry it out or admit defeat. Forget about it. No, I guess we'll assert. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's all right, it's all right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. No, this is Sparta! Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Eh? Well, I'm not, There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached the decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot. This is most irregular. No mention of this was made of this before. I don't really hold with all this justifying lock. It seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them experienced this before. Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around. So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of those most serious crimes. Okay. Judicial findings. Is it going to be the case then that every single trial we do after this, everyone's going to fight guilty and then we're going to have to do this all the time? That would be annoying. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. Why does he have a knife? I just noticed that. I simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn to the logical conclusion. You can't trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. scoundrel stabbing the poor man on the floor is beggars belief. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language. Just a Mr. Just a minute, just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. You only just saw the knife? I mean, I thought he was like throwing around some sort of fancy doohickey, like it was a... My first instinct was to say it was a banana he was throwing around, but I wasn't really looking at it. I thought he was just playing with like a stick or something. In fact, I could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. And what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public, so they may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see, so it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements, and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. We double-slapped! I have to pull this off! We start proceedings, counsel. I would ask you to take the stand for this, and I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. Are we going to stand at the front now? Oh, okay. That's different. Jury examination. There was no one else inside the carriage, so it has to have been him.
Hold it!
Certainly, the testimonies we've heard suggest the victims and the misguided were alone inside the carriage. Precisely my point. But would there be some other explanation, something we haven't considered yet? Such as... well, perhaps that's something we could, all work out together now? Now listen here, maybe you don't know how things work around here because you're from foreign climes. But we are here to form our opinions as individuals, and I have. Oh dear, he doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider an alternative point of view, does he? No, I'm going to have to pit the jurors against one another, like Sada-san said. Finding contradictions in these people's assertions is the only way I'm going to succeed. So then, why provide me with the press option? 20 pence. 4 passengers. How much was it? It says 4 passengers is 20 pence. That would mean that 5, 10, 20. That would have been 5 each. If I remember correctly, one of these said 4 pence. What fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence. Yeah, so it wouldn't be 20. It would be 4, 8, 12, 16, or 18. One of those. 16, I think. So it would have been 16 pence, not 20.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. They do. Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Sable Blaze's name and name. I haven't had the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers in the omnibus on the night in question. Oh, they actually animated him walking around talking. According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right, I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And the jurors number 5 also told us the following. The fare of the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is a fair and convenient single price, for just the way the learner's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves us a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious! This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is fallacy. I beg your pardon? Yeah, fight! Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to reconsider that if this trial were to end now, the news would surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he let nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Oh. All right, then, how do I make it so the miserable trial doesn't end? Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman. We're all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Yay! I win! Oh, this is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir, I'm gonna do the same. 2 people on my side now! Yeah! For the love of Mike! Why not you as well? A penny could be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naharo, you did it! We can manage to change 2 more jurors' mind. We can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else that was bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next. Okay, I'm actually liking this. Like, actually trying to find out, wait a minute, you think this and you think this, but they conflict. That's kind of fun. I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show that others another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of the guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summonation examination. I'm changing my leading to innocent. It should likely hear the slipshod bookkeeper has to say for himself. Slip the chapter next to him like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. Okay, so I don't think we can get anything from her, because she's not saying anything other than I've just examined everything and this is what I think. Beppo, this trial has to continue so I can get to the bottom of this corruption. Not guilty, I say. This poor man on the floor. So I think hers and the other guy's is conflicting. This guy.
Objection!
Those 2 statements are completely contradictory. Explain, counsel, post-haste. Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard of from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Want me to test me, do you? It was like this, stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker he said. Yes, that's what Miss Fairplay's testimony quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh, that's me, isn't it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now, don't move! Take a good look at these 2 jurors. He stabbed the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never! They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Bless my stitches. What a muddle. What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh! But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet. But what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. It immediately changes the mind. The scales. I don't believe it. Yeah, they're balanced. Wait. Now here, there's my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious, even Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting up myself through all of this? Answer me this, Dark Jinx. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What if there 2 witnesses of slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus. And this young man, Dandy, saw him do it. Now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor and then the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what do you say? Say it didn't happen like that. Who are you calling a tandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. They're really ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the 2 witnesses see 2 different moments from the same crime? I mean, I'm pretty sure they would see the whole thing. So, no. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it! What are you suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You 2 realize that I'm only doing my job? As foreman of the jury, I have the responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what I want to see. I say the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that out of the question, show me some proof. Looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him something that he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. It's proven by...
Take that!
This clear piece of evidence. Well, Mr. Foreman? Do you know what they say about me, young man? They say I've got no powers of persuasion. Oh, I see. Sorry to hear that. But no one will need persuading about this. You're even worse than me. Two different moments. In other words, the victim was stabbed 2 times. Ah, but we have evidence that clearly contradicts that possibility. Yes. I know, it's the autopsy report. I just wanted to show the thing just to be wrong. That, and it was also kind of like, well, at least it would eliminate the doubt if it's because they saw through the mirror, window.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely 1 time. Which means the witness can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Alright, I can concede defeat. Wait, that means... What jurors are now leaning to not guilty? We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won! When did you stand next to me? You were over there. What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if that chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber. Well, it's quite a remarkable turn of events. The defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority from among the jury for me to adjudicate. And the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses return to their places. And I call upon you to continue the pursuit of truth. Yeah! I win! I'm surprised the other guy was kind of like just going, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now. So, Lord Van Zeeks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. It's taking so long to... Okay. Having savoured the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice. It may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourteous. Lord Van Zeeks! Is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during the examination. So I honoured a death in silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as self-evident truth in this thing. And no, why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. He's taking his cloak off! Bring forth the witnesses once more! So I'm wondering if he's like a general as well or something. Witnesses. I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure. Oh, yes, sir, that I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir, I heard it. You, sir, on the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir, my lord, sir. If it transpires that you in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh mio Dio. Now then, witness, I hereby call upon you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Witness testimony. I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it. But, well, I, for one, was told I'd pay 5 pence for the bus. He filled us on a fare, did he? He did, and then I saw the blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw McGildy stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so. Yes. What do you mean you think so? You need to be 100% sure on that. Counsel, make sense for this, please. Of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little conzenage. Beppo, explain yourself. I'm terribly sorry, Guild Master. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Might I understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold. The last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. Sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo! A disgrace! Your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus last week. What? All passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I can't just make the result come out differently. No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Instead of, no parlor games, I'm just doing my job. Unlike you, who just wants to get the thing done, apparently. Ow! How long have we been going for? About 2 hours. How much of this part of the case is left? Because if it's going to go for another hour or two, I'd rather save it for next time. I'd rather prefer it to be, you know, at the end where it's like, to be continued situation. But if it's going to be like another hour or two, I think I'd probably just stop here. Almost done. Now, is that almost done as in, like, the next few moments, if I get the right thing, it'll be done, like, in 10 seconds or 10 minutes? Or is it, like, half an hour to an hour? We're about to hit a cliffhanger. Okay. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear it, but...
Hold it!
So, there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. It's so cold that it was all I could do to stop myself from passing out. I'm getting chilblains. Chilblains? This just listening to you. It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny or passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. Only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night. Then we would have had another suspect. 5 to 10 minuets. Okay.
Hold it!
Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did. A fair 5 pence piece across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you're so desperately needing is gone, dead and buried. I'd have to be happy. I haven't been happy if I'd ever existed in the first place. If it had existed.
Hold it!
This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I did actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. I didn't. Good gracious. Really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker got next to me had to take a sharp intake of breath. That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw the horrible blade poking out of his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming. Even when I'm eating. Oh, poor baby.
Hold it!
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilden, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him? Well, that's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, but this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as yet, 0 evidence. And what are you wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. Do I have to present the evidence about his thing there, or...?
Objection!
Nah. That reveals a damning inconsistency, that last statement. Damning, you say? As I look at you, counsel, I see your trembling hand, your pallid expression, and your perspiring brow. Huh? It seems to me that is the damning inconsistency here, with the misplaced confidence of your assertion. He has a damning tongue. You invited, sir.
Hold it!
Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh, yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice-pick grip. I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe? What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. And then I turned around, yes. Then I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So, in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought that I did, but... Then I go over it again in my head. No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I?
Truth!
Oh, Struth!
Excuse me.
Got you. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Some days I like that. The fact that that's an option. Some days I like that, I suppose. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as the Ballarat day. It's a Ballarat. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplant your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I could do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Blood-soaked hand, but he was wearing gloves.
Hold it!
I pressed the wrong button, but I'll do this anyway. Blood-soaked. Well, perhaps soaked is laying it on a little thick, but... Anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. But you saw that from the roof, through the skylight. Well, the skylight reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. And there was a lamp on the inside of the carriage as well, so... Oh, excuse me, why am I getting hiccups? So I'm quite sure of what I saw. Miss Banker's latest statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it, and there was. I just pressed the wrong button. When you feel like something doesn't add up, Mr. Naruhodo, that's when you should have a good look through the record. I know. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow, we've managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful, as they did before. Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening to stop us from uncovering important new information. Yes, you're so right. I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of reaction among these witnesses. It's the fact that he's, like, acting a lot more, stuff.
What was I going to say?
He's acting more competently than he did before. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them with reason. Blah, blah, blah. Skip. No, now I need to present. He was wearing gloves.
Objection!
Blood-soaked hands. Well, I admit the soaked might be lying on a bit thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-coloured stain here. But, as you can... I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. What's he doing to his staff? Or cane? In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. But no, that can't be right. You're a liar here, then. That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said it was both hands. Mr. Fairplay, your last statement was a lie. It calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only the one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't yeah, use all the big words. Don't prevaricate. There we go. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Mr. Naruhodo, we have some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying. It could turn the tide of the trial completely. To show this man a compelling reason to deny his testimony. There is evidence. My lord, Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Ugh. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. That of evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court.
Take that!
This is the list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims tripled by the accused of extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worth being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, when the creditor, the defendant here, would be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have not seen something you never saw, in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Order, 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Lord. Let me ask you again. And be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time in which a defendant alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Even as he's doing it, I just noticed his pinky's up. Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. All right, I'll not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilded's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir? Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all of your witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yargs. Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. New testimony, yay! What the witness really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I'm sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing had transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard the scream. Anyway, the fact remains. There could only have been anyone. There can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you witnessed the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying that we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Doesn't seem like it's going to be 5 to 10 minutes. What the witness really saw.
Hold it!
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We'll have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. Well, I'm aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw, and I stand by it. The man had blood on both of his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why? No reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the crime, the victim's blood dripped gauntly, guiltily from the accused's fingers.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance as well, as you know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea for 10 back when I backed the wrong horse in the Derby, that's all. I was going to win it back. There's a fixture of the weekends, that's for sure thing. A little guinea for 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. Silently judging. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you're bargaining for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work?
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of the McGilded's gloves has any sign of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe there was any... he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves. That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both of his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who had been accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. This is most puzzling indeed. I wonder if it turns out that McGilded that we have is not actually McGilded. It's the guy that was sitting next to him. The one that died was actually McGilded. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. I didn't actually see anything. Stop right there. You didn't see anything? Oh, yes, sir. No, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It's very wrong of me to make stories and say I saw that man. Who wouldn't agree? Wouldn't you agree, sir? Huh, I don't know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir, I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that. It was so cold that night, you see, sir. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. My neck's starting to get stiff. Sorry to say, sir. Sorry about that. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the less omnibus service on London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Poor Beppo.
Hold it!
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus. That's right. It was fairly fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof of the deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right, and it's public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gents inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm camp below. Well, I can't assure you that I wasn't just looking down. I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can't tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in the cabin, I have noticed. Unequivocally, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Would they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to, or they could. I would say might not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing. Right, 1 second. I just gotta check something. Sorry about that. I thought someone was at my door. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight and the floor in the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a proportion of the cabin's interior that would have been out of sight for you. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied. That at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. We'll identify the area on this cross-examination, the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting the potential extrapassionate could have been situated?
Take that!
Here, my lord, in this location, an extrapassionate could have been completely hidden from view.
Objection!
If you believe that to be true, counsel, then may I suggest you attempt to conceal yourself there. Sorry? And here's to you never seeing the light of day again. Whatever is in that hollowed chalice, it's very bitter aftertaste. It tastes the same as the Naroda, but that was, well, bitterly disappointing. There's bitterness in the air, it seems. Perhaps you'd like to reconsider your answer, counsel. We will identify the area of the past cross-sectional... area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extrapassionate could have been situated? Well, if they were sitting here, they could only see this way. If they were sitting here, they could only see this way. So are you telling me that it was the opposite side? Which wouldn't make sense, because the views that we've been shown have been from this side. I'll put it there.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the floor face in the direction of the travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means... Ow! The visible part of the cabin which the passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight is as I drawn here. That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one in which the victim and his tracker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ugh.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit. Forbidden habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? No one who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witness. Who could have been? I don't think we have anything to say. I have literally no idea. As a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Mr. Zano. All right then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. The response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. Toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger on the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person accompanying the occupying seat of the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was the only person I could think of.
Take that!
Yes, concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was none other than this unexpected passenger. Whatever so-called logic you use to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not. Because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. The real blind spot is inside your head, and it would appear to be unusually large. You could have just said that's not right. Mr. Naruhodo, our task is to defend Mr. McGilded. And we were working on the assumption that he is innocent of this crime. Yes, of course. Why? That must mean, then, that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded. The true culprit. That's right. Exactly what I've been... Oh! Of course, so the two people sitting outside the cabin with the witnesses saw through the skylight that night. They were the victim, the real culprit. It does seem as though we've all been making a false assumption. The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGilded at all. Meaning he has to have been sitting somewhere else. Okay. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I guess McGilded.
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Oh, okay. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. People talk to those tiny nations in the Far East as having a learning and a culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of artless backwaters such as yourself might understand. The bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise of which the case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of his irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly, they both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memories of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. There was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who is this third party? Obviously the true culprit. Extraordinary. Order! Order! What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. You can only see the rest of them, though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. Did you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would be undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Or depose. Unless, that is, you are proposing even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the two culprits in the very cabin in which he travelled. But that's right. Because there was another person travelling in the closed cabin of the omnibus. It's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order. There's been clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? Prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no undereducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man had been withholding information, you can be sure it would have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGillit has to say. Get the man out of here, I say! It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say, oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Oh, wait, I skipped that by accident. Very well, the court hears the defendant's turn. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Charlotte, bay the bay. Getting late, so I'm trying to, whatever. Show the defendant to the stand at once. Now, maybe we can actually... What? Now maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. First is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. Second is that, if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Egad, no, 'tis not my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the question, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all, or keep my mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night of with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. Is it true? Aye. It was me who helped them little urchin get away after it all happened. You... What? No, Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when you're taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was... Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into here in this courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her of that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child with whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom, so to speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Ah, smoke! Ah, fire! There's a fire! Look, someone's trying to get away! After them! It's no use! I can't see anything through the smoke. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Narrow, don't cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call for emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Hey, there we go, finally. Oh, this part was very long. Jeez. Yes, I want to save. That urchin is the one who did it. They stabbed everyone. And what they used was actually a poison. Everyone will die in 3 years. Right. And that is where, once it lets me press the button, that is where we will stop for today. Do not save. Yes. We shall pick this up on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So look forward to that. Hope you all enjoyed today's stream. Sorry if I was a little weird with the voices or something, or not good enough. I don't know. It was a lot of effort doing all those voices today. It's like there's so many people talking. Jeez, my neck is actually starting to hurt. I don't know what I did to it. Ugh. Anyway, hope everyone enjoyed. As usual, if you have not already, like, follow, subscribe to the next notifications and all that stuff so you know when the next stream. If you like what I do, there's links to Patreon and tips. And if you become a patron, you get named added to the patron list here, where I give you a shout out at the end of every stream, like I do with Hiroru Kuni, the Soul Master 37, and Rafatron 2000. And thank you for the continued support. I greatly appreciate you all. And we get smoke bombed after we're doing a court case and choke on the gases that it produces because it's toxic or something. I don't know. But yeah, we'll be seeing what happens next time. I'm looking forward to seeing what this urchin's going to be like. Apparently it's a she, so we're going to find out why she killed the guy. And go from there. And yeah, the whole thing with the shooting the fire into the scales is interesting, and it was cool to see like the different animations and trying to be like this guy and this guy are saying different things. They conflict, so now I can prove that this guy's this. The thing is that doing it once or twice would be interesting. If that happens like every case, that's going to be annoying. It's something that should be used rarely, but we shall see how that goes next time. So until then, you all take care. Have a nice day. I'll be back tomorrow with Dying Light, so look forward to that. And other than that, yeah, I'll see you either tomorrow or Thursday. Until then, you'll take care. Bye, everyone. Bye, Rafatron.